Hi, I'm Hayley Victoria and welcome back to my crime and policing channel. In today's session, we are beginning our journey into alcohol offences. I don't know why I'm so happy about that. Maybe because it's Christmas and it is the season to be jolly, but I'd like you to be jolly well safe while you are out there either policing, working, partying, whatever it is you're doing. I want to make sure that at least you are well informed on how to police or look after yourselves if you are partaking in things this festive period. So you might be watching this in summer next year, which is cool. I feel like a time traveller. But just make sure that if you are drinking, you are safe with it. Before we get into the actual legislative stuff, let's just look at some basic things, the do's and don'ts of drinking and how to keep yourself safe. Okay, number one, do not drink and drive. That's the main one for me. Do not drink and drive. Number two, if you are going out drinking in a group, do not leave someone to go home by themselves. If they are visibly very drunk, make sure they get home safely. You go out as a pack, you come back as a pack. That's how it works. Don't let somebody wander off drunk, okay? Easy. If you are the one who is a bit too drunk and decide to wander off, just don't. Wait for your friends, tell your friends, call someone you trust to come and get you. Next, so I think this is number 4, don't leave your drinks uncovered. I know you think, oh my God, you're talking to someone who's like 37 years old here. I got spiked recently and I'm old because I left my drink uncovered. And let me tell you something, it's not nice and I'm old and I should know better. But turns out I don't. So yeah, don't leave your drinks uncovered because that could be very messy. Luckily, nothing bad happened. I just completely lost my memory. I got home before it kicked in, so we're all good. But yeah, do not leave your drinks uncovered or accept drinks from people you don't really know. Even in places that you normally trust, because that's where things like this can happen, because you let your guard down. Next, if you've had a lot to drink, don't go to bed straight away. Try and sober up a little bit first. If you are with somebody who's drank way too much and they're passed out drunk, do not leave them unsupervised. You don't want anyone being sick and choking on that vomit. But try not to get yourselves in that much of a tangle anyway. Yeah, drink responsibly, don't binge drink, make sure you eat some food. If you think someone's really poorly, get them to hospital. It's not worth the risk, basically. So please just look after yourselves. Don't leave yourself vulnerable to any other stuff either. So don't try and cook something in the pan when you've had loads to drink. Don't spark up a fag and fall asleep. All these things you see adverts for make sense, and there's adverts for them for a reason, because stuff happens to people. You get put at risk, you injure yourself, somebody else, because of decisions you make when you don't have the capacity to make those decisions. Because when you are drunk, you do not have mental capacity. Well, when you're drunk to excess. 1 or 2 beers, fine, crack on. It is part of the stereotypical British culture after all. I like to have 1 or 2, maybe a few more when I go out if I'm safe. But yeah, make sure you are safe, look after yourself, look after each other, and don't be a prat when you are drunk. That's my lecture over. What we are going to do though is look at some legislation, because it's super important that when you are considering your behaviour and that of others, that you know what you're talking about. So as police officers, you are experts in drunkenness. Congratulations to the PCs out there watching this. You are experts in drunkenness. That means you can look at someone and go, oh yeah, they're steaming. And that's if they've drunk alcohol to excess. I sound like I keep stuttering. If they have drunk alcohol to excess. So there might be other things as well that can cause someone to appear drunk. It might be that they have got a medical condition such as diabetes or something else that makes them appear drunk, or their slurred speech, or maybe their balance is not quite right. So you cannot make snap decisions. You need to look at all the evidence in front of you. However, what we're going to look at right now is drunkenness as an offence, and I'm consulting my Bible. Obviously, the Blackstone's Policing Handbook, and this is from 2020, so it's a fairly recent one. I do need to buy another one though. So, drunkenness is an offence. Okay, let's see where and why. So, drunkenness is an offence in certain circumstances, and this sits under Section 12 of the Licensing Act 1872. So, how old is this as an act? But that means it's good. If it lasted this long, it means it's still good. So well done, you bobbies of 1872 and you legislative people who made this. It works. So it's an offence under Section 12 of the Licensing Act 1872 for a person to be drunk in any highway, public place or licensed premises. So a highway, that means all roads, bridges, carriageways and pavements. That's your highway. Public places, so it includes any place where the public have or are permitted to have access. And a licensed place, that's premises with a justice licence authorising the sale of intoxicating liquor, so a pub or a club, or an occasional licence. So sometimes like village halls and stuff will have like an occasional licence. So we are talking about people being drunk, and that means not just 1 or 2 drinks. That means you are drunk, okay? So just recap that bit again. It's an offence under Section 12 of the Licensing Act 1872 for a person to be drunk in any highway, public place or licensed premises. Drunk in charge of any carriage, horse or cattle in any highway or public place. So carriages include vehicles such as trailers and bicycles. For motor vehicles, the offence of driving or being in charge of a vehicle while over the prescribed limit sits under Section 5 of the Road Traffic Act, and that's more appropriate. We'll go through that in a minute. And cattle also includes pigs and sheep. I'm not sure whereabouts you live. You might live like in like a rural farmy area where it might be more appropriate. If you live in the middle of London, you may be thinking, I don't think we've got to worry about that here. But it depends where you live. Where I live, we've got lots of farms and stuff near me. Drunk in possession of a loaded firearm. I really hope you don't have one of those anyway. So a firearm is a lethal barreled weapon from which a shot, bullet or other missile can be discharged. So in relation to drunk then, so as I've mentioned, as police officers, you are experts in drunkenness. And you might be thinking, hold on, so it's an offence to be drunk in a pub. That makes no sense because everyone gets a bit drunk in a pub. There are cases, of course, which underpin this. So again, from my Blackstone's policing book, the terms drunk and drunkenness are not defined in law, but there is a case, RV Tag, which is 2002, if you want to look that one up, determined that everyday meaning of drunk should be used as a precedent. So this is having drunk intoxicating liquor to an extent which affects steady self-control. You're wasted, basically. You know what it's like when you have 1 or 2, you think, oh yeah, I'm a little bit tipsy, you need to go steady. If you're that drunk, you're hammered, you're drunk. That's where we're looking at, okay? So, the Court of Appeal also accepted that the Collins Dictionary definition and the shorter Oxford Dictionary definition were the same, which helps you look at drunkenness. And it's up to the court to decide whether or not they were drunk. So you do have like witnesses, obviously, to things like this. And generally witnesses, you're like how do you know what drunkenness and what it isn't? But a competent witness can give evidence that the person was drunk. A person who understands questions can respond coherently, and it would, of course, include a police officer. So you are a witness to say whether or not that person is drunk. So here are some examples of what you look for drunken people. So they're unsteady on their feet, glazed eyes, slurred speech, breath smells of intoxicating liquor. So that will help you determine whether they've got these kind of factors and whether or not they're drunk. As I mentioned earlier, though, there might be other things, other factors that might make them appear to be drunk, medical conditions, for example. So it's important that you look at all these different factors when you're determining whether or not you think someone is drunk. And that is obviously for someone to discuss in court when it goes there. It's triable summarily, so that means it sits in the magistrate courts. And the penalty for this one is 1 month's imprisonment or a fine, or a penalty notice can also be used. Don't forget as well, you've got discretion as police officers. So you think someone is, you're like, come on, I think it's time you go home. You can just, as long as you're getting there safely, off you go. So yeah, use your discretion. So after being drunk comes drunk and disorderly. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. This is when you're drunk and acting like a prat, basically. So now we're looking at drunk and disorderly behaviour. We know what being drunk is, and now we're tagging on drunk and disorderly. This sits under Section 91 of the Criminal Justice Act 1967. Whew, memory. It's a summary offence for any drunken person to display disorderly behaviour in any highway, we've just done that one, public place or licensed premises. So very similar to drunk, but now you're being disorderly as well. So you've got your drunk bit, so you know what it's like to be drunk, and now we're looking disorderly. So it's quite simple, really. This again is a summary only offence, and it could be 1 month in prison. Imagine just being drunk. A penalty notice or again, a fine. It's widely accepted that drunkenness, so alcohol, can fuel bad behaviour. So yeah, this is another one for that one. So being drunk, we know, is an offence in any highway, public place or licensed premises. And now we also know that to be unruly as well, that unruly offensive behaviour classes as being drunk and disorderly. And this is massive. So I think it's something like in the year 2018, 45% of penalty notices were given for drunk and disorderly behaviour. So how's about when you go out drinking, you just be good and you don't commit any offences? That's a good one, right? Okay, so now we're looking at drunk and in charge of children. Why you'd want to be drunk and in charge of a child, I don't know, because you've got a responsibility there, guys. Let's not. So again, we're looking at the same kind of definition, it's just tweaked slightly. This that's under section 2 with the Licensing Act of 1902. It's an offence for a person to be drunk while having care of a child under the age of 7. And that's in any highway, public place or licensed premises. The precise meaning of having charge isn't defined, but it's having some degree of care or control of that kid. Now, the suspect must be the only person unless everybody in that group is drunk. So if you're all out at the pub for a family party, for example, and everyone's hammered, all the adults, 5 drunk adults does not make 1 sober adult to look after the kids. At least 1 or 2 of you has got to be sober to look after those children. Okay? It's not hard. I'm always a designated driver. It's fine. Nothing is worth the risk of putting kids at risk, okay? So, yeah, drunk in charge of a child. It's an offence to be drunk and in care or control of a kid under the age of 7. But realistically, let's just not get hammered when you're in charge of a child. I know sometimes people struggle with alcohol and things like that, and there are things in place that can help to support you and your children, but nothing is ever worth putting people at risk who are vulnerable, and children are vulnerable. Okay, so that's it for today, because I appreciate we're doing lots of legislation. We've looked at drunkenness, we've looked at drunk and disorderly, and now I've looked at drunk in charge of a child. And I hope that makes sense. This is one of a series of videos. We're going to move on to things like buying alcohol, public places. We're going to look at road traffic as well. I've got a very special guest come and help me with that one, who is definitely in the know when it comes to road traffic offences. Can't even say it, road traffic offences. Yeah, that's it for today. Stay safe, look after each other, and please don't commit any crimes. See you next time.